Would you rather have $1 billion and be 80 and have maybe 10, 20 years left to live? Would you take the $1 billion? And I warrant most people would say, no, I wouldn't take the $1 billion. I know I wouldn't. Like, that $1 billion isn't worth all of this time and youth that I have. Number one, David Brown talked about this idea that I called the zigzag path. And as people who want to achieve stuff, who want to do well in life, who want to go far, there's this tendency to apply math principles to our goals. Obviously, the fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. And so we go, okay, I want to be here in 10 years or whatever it might be. And we assume it's going to look like a straight line. And in David Brown's story, he talked about he graduated from his degree in Canada, and this random guy from Florida offered him a job at this ambulance dispatching company. He didn't really have a plan for how he wanted to get to where he wanted. He wanted to start a business at some point, and he just ends up going over there with no plan, no vision, no idea of what's to come next. He jumped off the mountain without a parachute. And it's just so easy to get wrapped up in this idea of knowing what's next, of planning out our entire lives and just following it step by step like some kind of robot. And it leaks into the way we think about like self-development, self-improvement, because it's like, 1% better every day. I'm going to compound my habits, my daily habits, and over time I'll achieve my goals. But it almost is worse to be attached to this idea because we lose that consistency once, and now we're like, we've lost the progress. It's over. Like, I didn't go to the gym this week. I didn't do well at my job. I didn't deliver how I was supposed to. And in every journey to success, including David Brown's, which is so salient, is that there's an element of ups and downs and going the wrong direction and then going back into the right direction. Yeah, like for me personally, this idea is so important because I really don't know what's next for me. Like, I have my job as a software engineer, and I know a lot about software engineering, but I don't know where that will get me in 20 years. And I've made some investments in real estate, and now I know a lot about real estate, and I don't know where that's going to get me. And I have this podcast where I'm meeting cool people and learning things and enjoying it, and I don't know where this is going to take me. Maybe nowhere. But it's like the Steve Jobs quote where he talks about none of the points make sense looking forward. They only make sense in reverse. And in reverse, it looks like it was all planned out. It looks like there was this grand master plan, this grand vision, when in reality, it was just a series of decisions that seemingly unconnected became this larger vision for the life. And so, I don't know. I'm currently thinking a lot about this because it's like I have some idea of where I want to end up, but it's not very clear how I'm going to get there. And every step I take with the sense of, this looks like it'll get me closer. I don't know. It might take me the wrong way, and it might not pan out the way I thought it did. But yeah, the progression in life is never linear. It's a convolution of wrong lefts and wrong rights. We don't have a map of where we're going. Number 2, Eddie Connors talks about this idea about being pleasantly persistent. And I see so many people who have an aversion to coming off as needy or desperate or like trying too hard or like you're doing too much. There's this idea that keeps popping up, which is like, it looks bad to try hard at things. And the reason I think this is such a good addendum to that is because it takes off some of the weight of persisting, like being pleasantly persistent. And so it could be something like, I want this job and they're not responding to me. I've applied, I've done all the things, and you want to give up and not come off as needy or desperate, but there's power in just following up, sending that email that you need to send, and not in like a, oh, you didn't respond to me way. It's like a very pleasant, like a reminder that I'm here. And I just think that when it comes to getting something that we want, we don't want to come off as needy or insecure or desperate. But it's like, a good example is like, let's say I'm insecure about my hair for some reason, and it's almost more insecure for me to try to hide the fact that I'm insecure about my hair than to just be like, yeah, I'm slightly insecure about my hair. Like, maybe I'm balding. Maybe my hair doesn't look the best. I'm not actually balding. But it's like owning that insecurity is what not being insecure is, rather than trying to hide it, trying to abstract it away. And as another thing that I was thinking about, it's like whenever we're trying to not come off as needy or desperate or like I want something, it makes people feel as though they're operating from scarcity, right? And sometimes you are operating from scarcity, and that's okay. And owning that and being able to be pleasantly persistent is the only way to push forward. And it's like if I'm offering something of value to someone, let's say, again, it is the job, or maybe it's a relationship, or maybe it's whatever other goal I might have. If I was actually offering something of value, I would be persistent. And the example I give is like, if I find $100 on the street and I saw it fell out of someone's wallet, I'm not going to be scared to then go and chase after them and be like, yo, you dropped $100, because I know that thing is valuable. Like, there's not going to be a weirdness around me being persistent. And so, yeah, when it comes to like a job or a relationship, it's like, I am offering something of value, and it makes sense that I would be persistent. And yeah, it's like the pleasantness adds a nice air of levity to it, where, I mean, the way Eddie always does it is he's a lovable guy. He's like always laughing and having a good time, and he'll ask for something, and if he doesn't get it, it's not like he's depressed about it. He's not down on himself. It's just like, oh, well, I got a no. I'm closer to a yes, right? And so, yeah, just taking this fun, kind, pleasant persistency into everything we do. Every opportunity we're trying to get into is just so important. And I struggle with it as well, where it's like, I don't, like, even with this podcast, like sometimes it'll take me quite a while to book a guest that I want to have on, and I'll keep shooting them texts or emails, and it's not like I'm like, yo, you need to get on the podcast right now. It's just like, hey man, I'm still here. I still want to shoot a podcast with you. I think it would be great. I think you would love it. I think I would love it. I think it'll overall be a great experience for the both of us. And just taking that in stride. Number 3, with Kushang Hirpara. Kushang talked a lot about this idea of the lonely chapter, and how there's times in our lives when things are quite lonely. Like when you're trying to go from 0 to 1, you're trying to create something from nothing. And the easiest example of that is like a business. I have nothing, and I'm trying to create something that provides value to others in a business setting. And the reason it's lonely is not necessarily because people aren't supportive or because you don't have friends, but it's like when you're starting out at something, you're the one who cares about it the most. And the only way it's going to get anywhere is by you doing the work to push it forward. It gets lonely because, yeah, no one else is on that path with you. You're the one who's driving forward, who's having the long nights, who's having the early mornings in pursuit of this goal that might not pan out to anything, which makes it all the more scary. It might not pan out to a single thing. You might get literally nothing out of it. And it can be really lonely and isolating. But it's like acknowledging that there will be a lonely chapter makes it easier to handle. Like, I know that there will be a period where other people don't see what I'm building, where I'm doing work that no one else sees that I'm doing. I'm doing work that may not be the right work. I'm learning how to fail. I'm pushing forward. And I think Kushang embodies this so well in that he's like there's always more that you can do. And there is no bar for I've done enough. And that seems like it would be slightly depressing, but in the sense of I'm working towards something greater than myself, it's not necessarily depressing because yeah, you are in the pursuit of this big thing that you've always wanted to do, and acknowledging and taking it into yourself that you will have tough times. And you knew that when you started, you knew that this is what hard feels like, and that's okay. And you knew you signed up for this. There's a level of happiness that can come from the lonely period in which you already knew this is what it was going to take. And the reason that you're going to win is because every single time that you push forward, every day, every hour of extra work that you do, that's the work that no one else is willing to do. This is the pain that it takes. And the reason you will win is because you're willing to deal with the lonely period. Number 4, I talked with Charles Msalanga, and he's from Kenya, and he's a motivational speaker, and he talked to me about how direction matters more than speed. And when I think about this, I think about myself and how I always want to move fast and get to the next thing and get to the next level and progress and push forward. There's almost something that you lose when you're only focused on getting to the end goal as fast as possible, because when you're in pursuit of that thing, you have little wins along the way that you ignore because you're trying to get there as fast as possible. As humans, psychologically, we get so much fulfillment out of every win if we focus on it. If we only congratulate ourselves on the big win, on the I finally made it, we sit there and we have a moment of feeling really good about ourselves, maybe a day, and then on to the next goal, on to the next one. And so I think it reminds me in the times when maybe I'm not making progress as fast as I'd like, that a small progression of little wins makes you a lot happier than one big win. We just want it to happen so fast. As soon as you get to the end of the goal, the next thing to do is pick up the next goal. And so we can never, if we're only focused on those big 5-10 year goals, most of the time spent on those goals is the in-between time. It is that gap between I've built a successful business, I've built a great family, I've built the physique that I want. And almost the entirety of our lives is in those gaps in between. It's the Rocky cut scene where he's training and he's waking up early and he's got the Rocky theme song. And in the movie, it's only 30 seconds, a minute. But in our lives, that bit is the majority of the thing. And so being able to sit in that and gather little wins every day, every week, and then acknowledging the work that we're doing and getting some fulfillment out of just the journey towards the goal rather than the goal itself. And yeah, it's just been something really important for me to think about, appreciating everything that I've done so far and congratulating myself as I get further and further, and making sure that I don't let it all pass me by. And number 5, Sarah Margolisi talked about the unconventional path. We talked a lot about how you'll never really find the perfect thing, the perfect job, the perfect relationship, the perfect day, the perfect anything. Like the way she described it was 80%. If 80% of the time you're happy with your job, then that's awesome. Like 80% is great. If it's only 20% of the time that you feel down about what you're doing, that's like top tier. You've found something that you really, really enjoy. That's 1 day a week out of 5. There's some, at least maybe in young people, there's some idea of like following your passion and like achieving your dreams and do like the thing you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's just plain wrong. Like, I don't think like from everyone I've talked to, I don't think there is a thing that will never feel like work. Like the people that turn their hobby into their job often end up hating their hobby because they do have to perform every single day on that thing. And yeah, it's just being okay with something that fulfills you the majority of the time. And that might be your corporate career, but often it lies in some unconventional path. Like Sarah, she wanted to be a rock star, and she dropped out of high school. Along the way, she had a strong affinity towards growing plants and towards knowing a lot about these plants. And so she started it out as a side business. Like, I'm kind of good at this. I kind of want my main thing to be the rock band. But she ended up being so good at it that she built an entire company out of it with tens of employees and a lot of revenue. And at a certain point, it was like, whoa, I actually really like this. Maybe it is that 80% of the time I'm okay with it. And that was the thing she ended up building. And like, she still does the music stuff as a hobby, but this other thing with her landscaping company, she's able to go in, create a community of people that enjoy it. She's able to make money from it. She is able to enjoy it the majority of the time. And that's what we should strive for is that 80-20%. 80% of the time I'm satisfied with what I'm doing, and everybody's got off days. 20% of the time it sucks. And number 6 with Matthew Gear talked about these pillars of things in our lives that we should protect. A few things that we know make us better every single day. And for a lot of people, that might be getting your physical activity in. For Matt, it was going to the gym every day. He gets his sense of, I'm getting better and I'm working at something and I'm getting the endorphins from working out. And then it's like our diets and making sure that most of the time we're eating good food and fueling our body the way it needs to be fueled. And another pillar might be sleep and making sure that I'm getting that 8-9 hours of sleep every night. Maybe not every single night, but the majority of nights. And so there's these pillars that we know fundamentally make us better. They make us more pleasant to be around. They make us more healthy. They make us feel good. And a lot of times in pursuit of a goal, we can sacrifice those things in exchange for the metric that we're chasing after. Maybe I'm chasing a promotion. Maybe I'm chasing a new business I'm starting. Maybe I'm chasing, I want to be an influencer. Maybe whatever the thing might be, if we guard our pillars closely throughout that entire time, it'll make the whole experience all the more enjoyable. And there's a level of sacrifice that it does take to achieve, but those pillars stand there and hold us up while we take the pain of rejection or the pain of not performing how I want to perform and all of these things that come with trying to achieve things. The pillars are the thing that we can come back to and refuel and take care of ourselves. And at a certain point, there's old people that are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they're wealthy and they're rich and they're successful. And they would trade places with you in a heartbeat to have the physical capabilities you have, to have the energy, to have the good sleep, to have the health that they had when they were young. And that it's something that doesn't have a price tag on it. It's invaluable because a billionaire like Warren Buffett, who's in his 80s or 90s, he would give it all up in a heartbeat to have that health. And if you were posed the question, would you rather have $1 billion and be 80 and have maybe 10, 20 years left to live? Would you take the $1 billion? And I warrant most people would say, no, I wouldn't take the $1 billion. I know I wouldn't. Like, that $1 billion isn't worth all of this time and youth that I have. And so, yeah, it's important to guard those pillars very well. And if we fall off of them for a little bit, that's okay. But once you lose the youth and the time and the energy and the health, you can't get it back. You can, but it's really, really difficult if you've lost those pillars for a really long time. With Alex Oxford, we talked about his cancer diagnosis, and we talked about how would you live differently if you knew you only had 1 year left to live. And it's something it's really hard to think about. Like, it feels as though I have a lot of time left. Maybe you watching it might feel that way. Like, I have a lot of time left to do the things I want to do. I'm just going to put up with whatever I'm putting up right now, and I'll eventually build the business. I'll eventually get in shape. I'll eventually get a better relationship with my parents. I'll eventually do whatever it might be. And there's just this urgency to life that's hard to conceptualize. There's a really good, I think this is from Sahil Bloom. He talks about in his book about when he had a talk with his friend, and his friend told him or asked him how often he sees his parents, and he said, "Oh, I see them like once a year, twice a year, whatever it was." And the friend is like, "Okay, how old are your parents?" "Oh, they're in their 60s." And he's like, "Okay, average lifespan of a human is about 75 years old, and that gives you 15 years. 2 visits each year. You're going to see your parents 30 more times before they die." And imagine that. 30 times you'll see your parents before they die. That should give you a sense of urgency of like, oh, I need to actually tell the things that I want to tell to my parents. I need to hang out with them. I need to build a better relationship with them. And this idea gives me attention for myself, where it's like, partially you do want to have this urgency for life, for doing things that you want to do. But there's also, wait, if I'm going to die in a year, would I even pursue any of the goals I'm doing? And so there's this tension between long time horizons of delaying gratification and delaying the things I really want so that I can have them in the future. But then also, you might die in a year and it never manifests. For Alex, the way that he took it was, well, I know I want to start a business, and I know I want to I know that I want to be an entrepreneur, and well, I don't know how long I have left to live. And it seems a lot less risky to do it now because I don't know if I'll make it to the next year, to the next 6 months. And yeah, it reminds me of Viktor Frankl's imperative where he talks about live as if you were living a second time and you had acted wrongly the first, and not letting these other ideas, narratives from maybe peers, maybe parents, maybe partners tell us the thing that we should do. And that's the shoulds are the ones that get in our way. I should work a corporate job. I should get married now. I shouldn't get married now. I shouldn't have kids now. Whatever the narrative is, it's like, what do you actually want out of your life? And if you only had a year left, what would you do? And once you conceptualize that and think about it and meditate about what those things are that you want out of life, then just pursue them with like a vengeance, with an urgency, because we've got one shot at this thing. And why am I going to spend my time wasting it on things that I don't want if I've got one shot? I shouldn't waste it. Alex brought up a lot of cool things to think about in terms of figuring out exactly what you want out of life. Number 8, Armin Kadiwala. We had a long conversation about how we set goals and how we can achieve those things. And Armin talked about this tendency that people have, that myself has, that he has, that everyone has, to move the goalposts on a goal that we want to achieve. It's like, and the analogy he used was some kind of race, like a marathon. Like if I signed up for the full marathon and I made it halfway to the 13 miles and then I give up and I say, woohoo, I did a half marathon. It's like, no, you just moved the goalposts. It would be different if the initial goal was to hit the half marathon. I'm going to run a half marathon. That's much different than I set the goal here and I gave up halfway and then celebrated that I achieved something. Yeah, he reminded me that it's important to keep yourself accountable to the goals that you set and remember why you set them. This is why you don't set a goal willy-nilly. You don't set a goal like, oh, I'm going to go to the moon. Whatever it might be, like you don't just choose it out of chance or out of impulse because you're the one who's holding yourself accountable to it. And at the end of it, you know if you achieved it or not, and you're not going to be able to make it to the end of that goal if you didn't have a strong why for why you were doing it, like a strong reason, a strong not motivation. Motivation is fleeting, but a strong fundamental desire or something you were seeking from fulfillment from that goal that will keep you going forward when it gets hard. And keep you from moving the goalposts because you know that the thing you want is at the end of the goal, not at halfway to the goal. And I've been reflecting on this because I know that I personally want to start a very successful business. And I've already had one failed one. I've given it an attempt, and right now I'm in a decently good spot in terms of financial security and accolades and whatever it might be, all of these external metrics. And from an outside perspective looking in, someone might say, well, you already did the half marathon. Why would you go for the full? And I have sometimes fallen into this mode of thinking where it's like, yeah, I can rest on my laurels. I have done a lot. But I know that what I set out to do was to build something that lasts, something that's bigger than myself, and not allowing myself to move those goalposts is a strong reminder that I need every day. And including this podcast, like, I want to grow this podcast. I want to have awesome guests on. I want to share wisdom and share this spirit of living courageously with others around me. And I know why I've wanted to do that, and I can't move the goalposts on any of those things. Number 9, Dean Doe. This one's fun. Dean and I talked a lot about goals. I guess a lot of this podcast so far has been about goals. And although goals are important and it's cool to achieve things and it feels good to overcome something, to achieve something, it's the human spirit, right? There's goals that you've achieved before that you said would make you happy. And with Dean, he's done really well for himself. He's achieved a lot of success in the corporate world. He's created a whole entire portfolio of real estate that he built himself in within 3 years. And he learned and he grew and he succeeded. And for himself, he told me that he always tells other people to celebrate, to slow down, to enjoy their success, and he has some inability to stop, and he always wants the next goal. But he remembers that there are goals that he's achieved that he said would make him happy. And the reason I thought this was so interesting or cool was that I myself have also achieved goals that I said would make me happy. And at the end of it, I create a new goal and I say, this one will make me happy. This will be the one. And obviously it's never enough. There's never a goal that will actually get you in a mental state where you're satisfied. Oh, I can rest now. It's just never going to happen. And it provides an ability to reframe the goals as their purpose is not to make you happy. There are other ways to try to pursue happiness, however you might define it. For some people, that's experiences. For some other people, that's their family. Whatever it is for you, goals aren't meant to make you happy. They're there for you to have something to push towards. There's something, and maybe this is how I would like to say it the best, is that the goal is never about the goal. You are the goal. You yourself are the outcome that you are pursuing. And the goal is a conduit for the growth that you are seeking as a person. And it's never been about the goal. It's never been about achievement. It's always been about turning yourself into the person that you want to be. And you are the eternal project. You are the goal that's never complete, but it's the only goal that matters, is crafting this person that you look up to, that you love, that you think is awesome, and that's you. And number 10, with Philip Folsom, he talked a lot about this idea of the lone wolf. The time of the lone wolf is over. The lone wolf dies. And the reason he talked about it is there's this thing in wolves where they're one of the only animals where you can find evidence of healed, broken bones. And why is that important? Why does that matter? Well, healed, broken bones are proof of this tribe that supports the person that is down. Because a lone wolf who breaks its leg or a rib or whatever, or has some capability that takes away its ability to survive in the wild, it dies. The wolf who has no tribe dies, and the wolf with the tribe gets nursed back to health and protected until he can now go out again and hunt big game and give to the rest of the tribe, give to the rest of the people that maybe are down. And this reminds me of maybe this meme or idea is less popular now, but like the sigma male, the I just need to lock in, the I don't need anyone else, I'm just going to push forward towards my goals. And that person isn't the person who wins. Like, this idea of the person who just achieves on their own is kind of fake. Like, the people who succeed and do really well and build amazing lives are the people who are surrounded by a tribe, the people who are supported by others, who are brought back up when they're down. And that's an investment that needs to be made in the tribe. And that the tribe could be your coworkers, your family, your close friends, your relationship, but it's all these people around you that care about you and believe in you. You need to invest in those. You need to give to others and help them out and raise them up when they're down. And then every time that you're down, you get brought back up. And this allows the capability to take more risk. And risk often creates outsized returns. And the only way you feel safe to take a risk is that you know if you fall, you'll get picked back up. And Philip talked about the army and how the person you looked out for the least was yourself. Why was that? You had 10 other guys looking out for your safety, and your only job was to look out for the 10 other guys' safety. Like, there's no the 10 other soldiers and making sure that they're safe. And yeah, I just want to get rid of this myth because it's for some reason, it's so attractive to young men to pursue things on a solo track, to come out, to go monk mode and change their lives in 6 months, in 12 months. And there is, again, the lonely chapter that Kushang talked about, which is there are periods of time where your head's down and you're pushing and you're building, but you can't have those periods without having previously invested in the tribe around you. And one of the most scary things is to get to the end of a goal, of an achievement, and to have nobody to share that with. Not a single person. Sure, you achieved it, but who's happy for you? Who's there to celebrate with you? And so, yeah, there's the lone wolf dies. Don't be a lone wolf. And this last idea is one that is from myself that I've been thinking a lot about. And it's been the end of 2024 a bit ago, and I was reflecting on a lot of just like what I've done in my life so far and how 2024 went. And I came to think about this idea of you versus you, and how you versus you is often touted as the mentality that we should take when trying to get a new goal or a new skill or taking on a new challenge. The curse of you versus you. The only person that you should try to be is yourself. And every day you should show up better than the day before. And it's generally good advice. It generally works. Like, if I'm unfit and I just need to go to the gym for 10 minutes, I win against myself. And that starts to compound. I go to the gym for 10 minutes. I go to the gym for 20 minutes. Or maybe I'm unemployed and I just need to show up to a job interview to beat my previous day, like my previous self. Maybe I'm scared of showing up to the job interview because I'm scared of rejection. And I beat myself by showing up. And the task that is demanded of you by this prerogative makes sense a lot of time because you're reaching beyond your current capabilities and pushing them. But what happens when you do become an extremely high performer? When your only option is to outdo your latest, greatest achievement? How does Kobe beat himself after winning the NBA championship? How does Jeff Bezos beat himself and build a bigger company than Amazon? And it seems like they should be just fine. They should be satisfied with their achievements. But given the prerogative of you versus you, they should continue to try to beat these achievements. But at what cost? Like, how do you outperform yourself when you've already done so much? You versus you leads you to getting better at whatever the goal was that you set out for yourself. But once you reach a certain level, you're actually cursed to compete against yourself. Wouldn't it be nice to rest against the laurels of comparing yourself to someone else? To say, I may not have beaten my own personal record, but I'm so far ahead of everyone else that it doesn't matter. And I've been thinking a lot about this because I was down on myself for when I reflected on 2024. It felt like I'd started a lot of new things and achieved some things. Like, I started this podcast, I started in real estate investing, I went to some cool places traveling. There was a lot of progress that I made, and reflecting on it, I thought to myself that I really, really half did a lot of things, and I wasn't proud of it. I was like, maybe I should have been more focused throughout the year. Maybe I should have cut out some of the things that I was working on. But I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, yeah, you shouldn't be down on yourself, because even if you've failed to achieve excellence at everything you've done, you did a lot of hard things. Like, you started a lot of things that take a lot of effort and courage to do. And you should be, maybe not should, but it's okay to be satisfied with what I accomplished. And yeah, that's part of that curse of you versus you. Is part of the reason I'm so down on myself is because I'm trying to beat who I was previously. And the only way I can do that is by being more excellent than I have been before. And generally, I've done pretty well for myself. And now I want to do better than that. And it's being able to break out of the you versus you mentality. Like, it's a useful mentality to have. It's a useful metric to compare yourself to yourself. But you shouldn't always compare yourself to yourself. Like, sometimes you've just done well. Even if you didn't outcompete your previous best, you didn't have more character than you did the year before. You didn't achieve something to a level of excellence that you hadn't achieved before. Sometimes it's okay to just have had a good year where you maintained some things, you built some other things, and being okay with being satisfied with those things is just like something I'm working really hard on right now. And yeah, that's the curse of you versus you. And so that's all I have for you guys today. And I hope you've enjoyed this little journey alongside my reflections on the few podcasts that I've had so far. And we're going to have a ton more podcasts. I'll do a few more of these reflections along the way, reflecting on what I'm learning and how I'm growing. And thank you all for the support. And I really hope you're getting something out of it. Like, the whole reason I started this podcast is because I don't want to learn things alone. I want to be able to share those things, right? And so everyone who's listening and watching, wherever you're consuming this podcast, you get to come alongside and see what I learn, how I fail, and maybe get some learnings yourself. And yeah, thank you all, and have a great day.